Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1950 Studebaker Champion Deluxe two-door sedan. Now in 1950, when this car was built, Studebaker was 98 years old, having been founded in 1852, making wagons, horse-drawn vehicles, and of course moving into automobiles and horseless carriages about 1904, 1905. But again, by 1950, Studebaker enjoyed its best sales year yet with 320,000 units sold. Not too shabby, but again, only 9th place in the U.S. auto industry. So Studebaker, again, located in South Bend, Indiana, one of the small independents, along with Packard and Kaiser and even Nash. But again, Studebaker hanging in there, holding their own. Now, something very unique about Studebakers of this period is what Bob Hope, the comedian, called, "Is it coming or is it going?" This wraparound rear window, which almost could be the windshield, like on a an older vehicle. This could be heading down the road, but it's just the back window. Some of these actually had far more curved backlights. And again, this is the cheap two-door post. And again, very odd styling right here, used from the late 40s up to 1952. And Bob Bork, who worked for Raymond Loewy, also did this body design as well as the Starlight Coupe of 1953 through 64. Frankly, this bones right here, Bob Bork, under the guise and guidance of Raymond Loewy. But the great thing about these, in addition to the wraparound rear window, was how Studebaker moved closer and farther from the days of the potato styling with bolt-on fenders to a uniform sort of envelope body style. Now, this is still a bolt-on fender. We can clearly see the separation line here with the welting. And so if you got a dent or rust damage, you could unbolt this without having to do any welding, which is a good thing. Now, again, semi-skirted wheel openings, but on this one here, remember that the Studebaker lineup for 1950 went Champion, Commander, and Land Cruiser. Only the Champion, the cheapest of them all, had four-lug wheels. Yep, four lugs. The larger Commander and Land Cruiser had 5 lugs, but look at this right-hand lug nut here and left hand's on the other side. But one thing about the Spicer axles used in these things, these had 2-piece axle shafts, and the flange on the end came off with the brake drum. And look at this, somewhere along the line, somebody either lost or stripped the nut, and they used a cotter pin and a flat washer in place of the nut torqued to 80 foot-pounds to hold the drum on. Clearly it worked, but oh my gosh, look at that. And again, Studebaker used these weird 2-piece flanges, as did Chrysler through 1964, so it wasn't that uncommon, but kind of a problem to work on, leading to Mickey Mouse efforts like that. Now, let's go around to the back of this one, and the cool thing about this one is that while it's stripped of its chrome, we can really get a nice look of the shapes that Bob Bork and Raymond Loewy and Associates formed into the back of this car. And it's, pretty to look at, really kind of streamlined, and yet it's kind of potato, but not so much, kind of the evolution. And the trunk on this does open. Let's have a peek and look at what we have. Okay, yeah, pretty commodious. Every time I say that, I have to send Mike Joy $1. So Mike, I'm sending that to you. I'll send it to you tonight. But commodious, lots of room. And we can see right here this thick tar. This is Studebaker factory stuff. This is a sound deadener and kind of a rust proofer. Very thick stuff. I can only imagine the guys who had to spray this stuff on here at South Bend. It must have been the messiest part of the assembly line, just this tar crap they're blowing in there. But with that said, it's on everything. And the only downside, it does dry pretty solid state, but in some cases, a white suitcase or something buffed against that would stain the suitcase. Kind of weird, but this tar stuff, usually in GM land, you get Zolatome trunk paint, that kind of thing. But Studebaker was using tar. Spare tire well here, vertically located, but again, plenty of trunk room, very commodious. And again, Mike Joy, owe you $2. So anyway, let's go around to this side. Kind of cool, a little streamlining. The gas filler located here in the side of the car. It's got arthritis, but boing, 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 that's where it would go, right there. And the 2-door post right here. Not a hardtop, and you could get the 2-door hardtop, but again, this one here has the basic 3-speed manual. Got the clutch pedal down here, all these things. This is a radio delete car, which is appropriate. It is a Champion, the cheapest of the bunch. The speedometer on this reads up to 100 miles per hour, which might be pushing it. No V8s until 1951, but you gotta love the Wurlitzer jukebox effect here. The knobs, all the instruments here, maybe an overdrive switch down here, and look at the add-on nature of the directionals. Look at this thing right here. Directionals were optional at this point in time. You could still get by hand signals, but this is the add-on extra cost directional signal right here. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Of course, the horn was standard fare. But here's one of those 4-lug 15-inch wheels right here. Kind of weird. It's a 15, but it's got 4 lugs. Again, only seen in the cheapest Champion cars. And with that said, Champions also had a 9-inch drum brake because they were lighter, smaller cars. And I guess they saved a little bit of money putting the 4-lug stuff. But I say this, I'm not sure of it, but that bolt pattern right there might be the same as a Ford Falcon or a Mustang, a 6-cylinder car. So if you're looking for 15-inch wheels for your Falcon, this might be a Junkyard pro tip. Not sure. But anyway, factory wheels on this thing. 15 4-lug. Kind of an unusual combo then as now. Coming through the pine trees here, the Twin Towers of Bernardston, we can see right here the front of this. And yeah, being a cheaper car, here is the vacuum windshield wiper setup right here. The electric motor would be better. The only downside with vacuum is while it doesn't use any electrical power and the 6-volt system wouldn't be taxed by it, when you push the gas pedal, if engine vacuum drops to nothing, the wipers go and they slow down. When you need them, you go into that rainy intersection, the wipers slow down. Not a good combo. But we can see here Studebaker's Kingpin front suspension, coil springs inside, and small 9-inch drums. There they are right here. The larger Land Cruiser and Commanders had 10-inch drums, but that tiny little 9-inch drum is one of the many ways that Studebaker cut cost. These are the trunnions, these things right here. AMC also used them. That's a bearing. The weight of the car sits on that. When you turn the wheel left and right, it all rides on that. Those things wear out and you get front-end alignment problems. Here's that 3-speed manual. No automatic. You could get it midway through 1950, but this is the 3-speed manual standard fare. And this is Motor Trend magazine right here, October 1949. And do I hear some self-entitled whining somewhere? Canceled? What do you mean we're canceled? Anyway, this is October 49, the very second issue ever of Motor Trend. And inside, we find a story on the Studebaker. And this is when Studebaker was all new. The bullet nose you see up there, that is the bullet nose. Only 2 years, 50 and 51. And if you look at that, they call it a bullet nose because it kind of looks like a bullet, but it also kind of looks like a propeller. You choose. But it says here, Studebaker Corporation has taken a bold step in producing a car that is strikingly different in appearance. Raymond Loewy Associates and Bob Bork have again broken away from the convention in this latest design. And here they're talking about the front suspension. In place of their traditional semi-elliptic transverse independent front wheel suspension, Studebaker has changed over to an independent suspension with coil springs. The top of each coil spring is recessed in the front crossmember, while the bottom of the spring is seated on the lower control arm. Studebaker now mounts the tubular shock inside the coil spring. And here's a close-up of it right here. And this actually was new. In 1949, Studebaker actually had a transverse leaf spring, kind of an odd planar arrangement. And here's a close-up here again. And the big thing about this was how Studebaker efficiently put the shock absorber inside the coil spring. Something that AMC wouldn't get around to until 1970. But anyway, if you look inside here, inside that coil, that is the bottom of the aircraft-style telescoping shock absorber. Here's the top of it right here. But again, this front suspension would be used on Studebakers for many, many years with minimal changes and upgrades. You know, again, why fix something that's not broken? And inside, once again, pretty commodious. I owe you $3, Mike Joy. And here we have here, look at this, the kitchen sink. And speaking of smart water, here's a word from our sponsors. Hey, Steve Meander here at the Bernardston Auto Wrecking with Junkyard Crawl with my co-star, Queen Katie of Bernardston. Listen to her pant. Can you hear that? That is one dehydrated dog. So you know what we're going to do? Katie, come here, honey. Now, the one thing you'll never have is opposable thumbs, and one thing you'll never be is, but the one thing you're going to be in a second is hydrated. Here, pup. Here you go. Never say I didn't do something for you. Her IQ is going up as she drinks. That's the miracle of smart water available at Walmart. Stay in school. With that out of the way, let's continue our look. Let's do a little what's in the box. Okay, the glove box on this has not been opened, and once again, radio delete, pretty cool, gotta love it. Okay, let's have a peek inside, and all right, cardboard. This is the cheap Champion. Okay, some glasses, a glasses case here, and leather. Okay, no gold Krugerrands, no fingernail collection, unfortunately. Yeah, just not much going on here. Somebody's spectacles, once super sport goggle. Oh, American Optical. Look at this. My dad worked for American Optical over in Southbridge, Massachusetts for 1967 through 72. AO. But yeah, super sport goggle. Inside, what else we got here? A little flashlight, part of a little 6-volt pen light right here. The remains of it, the aluminum kind of crunched out and gone. Somebody's don't get locked out thing. So not much going on there, but this little button right here, that is where this optional, yes, optional cigarette lighter or cigar lighter would have gone. But if you didn't pay the $2, that's what you got. They'd spank you and make you feel cheap. But that's the story right here of the Bob Bork / Raymond Loewy. Once again, it takes a team to make anything good, anything cool. And this is the cheapest Studebaker of all, 1950. And again, Studebaker's best sales year so far, 1950, with 320,000 cars built. Sadly, you know, within 10 years, by 1963-4, Studebaker would wrap up operations in South Bend, Indiana, and move their operation to Canada, where they already had an assembly plant, but they kept making cars in Canada for another couple years before finally fading out. But Studebaker didn't die. They just got out of the car business. They continued making everything from Gravely tractors to air conditioning units to plastic nose combs for missiles, made plenty of money well into the 1970s for their shareholders. So Studebaker didn't die. They just got out of the highly unpredictable, highly unprofitable auto business. That's really what happened with Studebaker. And if you like this video, be sure to share it with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and by all means hit the bell so you know when the next video hits, which is tomorrow morning.